What is normative? Because it's normal. Everyone goes by. I pass, you pass. Ivan also passes, the people who are here. There are some phases of our lives that these crises are more acute. The first major crisis, for example, which we face from an existential point of view, is precisely adolescence. Because in adolescence, we live a phase of transition. We are no longer the child who was, but we are not the adult anymore. So, this phase, everyone who lives with a teenager knows. The teenager is a little angry. He thinks the world is all wrong. He does not feel understood by anyone. Does normative. Is part of life. When we live these phases, and it can come at other times in life, there are some professionals who say that every N9 for us will always be conflict. Because we are finishing a phase of life, starting another. 9, 19. Every time we go through these transitions, it is natural that we live, but it is also natural that the experience of these conflicts and the healthy experience of these crises will put us in a context of wisdom, so that we do not think that this crisis is life. It is a difficult differentiation to do, but we need to do it. The crisis I'm living cannot be confused with the life I have. Sometimes it can be very bulky and give me this illusion that my whole life is in crisis. No. Sometimes I have one crisis or another, for example, in the family context. I can have a crisis of faith in my religious, spiritual context. I can suddenly have a crisis with a friend, right? I can suddenly have a crisis with boyfriend, girlfriend, brother. The big problem is when that point, that punctuated situation begins to addranges all life. Then, the conflict you had in effective life begins to disturb your professional life, your family life, your spiritual life. Then the crisis is like a river that received too much water and does not fit inside it. What does it do? He overflows. What we can do? Manage the crisis well. As first, find out why it exists. Why am I distressed? Why am I so depressed? Why am I so full of anxieties, insecurities, fears? Which are the words you used? Why is all this today in your story? So instead of looking at all this incompletely, totalizing, right? Try to particularize where this discomfort is born. Of course, he has an origin. Of course, he has a cause. We know that it is no use for trying to take care of the effect if we do not sink in. It's not like this life. If I have an infection, it's no use just taking off the fever. I have to find out the cause of infection and work the cause of this infection, which naturally, fever, goes away. Crisis is usually a fever. It is a fever that will hurt us and will remove our tranquility because something is in disarmamento. And then, my son, you need to know. It may be that your crisis is directly linked to your ignorance of your place in the world. My people. That's so important. Life needs to refer us to this comfort. I think we all deserve this. At one point, you have that satisfaction of knowing, I'm in the right place. I chose right. I have problems, but I'm in the right place. Because we won't tolerate the difficulties if we are in the wrong place. If we are in the right place, if we are doing our lives what we really know that should do, the difficulties that will be proper to this context will be easily administered. A lot of people cannot manage the difficult present moment. It is precisely because they are aware that it is making a terrible mistake. It is making an attack on one's life. And it's that old story. My God in heaven. It is as if at some point in my life I found that I am an unfortunate priest. That I should not have was a priest. That I was a priest for accident. It would be terrible. Just as some colleagues of mine found that they were priests, not because they wanted to, or because they were pushed in the formative process themselves, or because they had no courage to leave the seminar. They had no courage to counteract their mother, counteract their father, the godmother, who already he had chosen, who had already bought him for it. And then he was there, in a life of unhappiness. Why? Then all the difficulties that are proper to the priest's life, he will not tolerate. Why? Because he didn't want to be a priest. He got a priest for accident. It's like marrying the wrong person either. I didn't want to marry that person. I didn't love them enough. That's why when the small crises come, the wedding goes down the drain. You will only be able to endure the great difficulties, the small fights of every day, big and small, if we know that we are in the right place. If I'm living my life the right way. This is important. Find out what our place is in the world and do everything so that we have the right to be there, living the right way in this existential consistency. This is because this is what God wants from us. God enables us from gifts, possibilities, so that we can go to the right place, and there we realize. Regression is a therapeutic process that professionals do. Very contested. There are a lot of people. There are a lot of psychotherapists who likes regression. There are others who don't. There is unconscious regression, which is the one that the person looks like he's sleeping. He is induced to a process I don't know. I think it is not unconscious. She takes a contact with her own life, with her own history, with the facts, in that state that is not that of conscience as we are now. So there. From this perspective, they believe that many traumas are healed because the person reaches a level of reflection, contact with that reality that he consciously has no courage to reach because of the fears, the blockages, that the fact itself caused it inside it. On the other hand, in Jung psychology, they work a little of this regression, but conscious. I really believe that changing habits favors our psychic life. I know that within this perspective, the regression is conscious. It happens without this need to silence a state that is not right to conscious. But it works with this conscious regression. That is the moment that we talk to that regress. Is that right? No, Mr. I right. Now it's good that you are accompanied by a professional, right? Sometimes as friends we regress with each other, right? You start telling a story in a moment, that story thrills, and you start to cry. We only tell you as we feel accompanied, that you have confidence in the person what is on your side. When you are free to tell your story, you somehow are doing the regression. I'm not talking about the one you do inside the office. I'm talking about this healing process that we can often live. Each time we have the courage and confidence of telling what happened to us. The word we say, she has a great power to free us. What we say, what we listen to, the word that is touched by artistic sensitivity, music, poetry, gestural language. It's that old story. Sometimes you listen to a song. You smell your childhood with the music you listen to. I listen to that. And it's impressive how much I make a return in time. I see my house, my mother's pans, the sofa full of hole, the cat hidden inside the hole of the couch, parrot, mango ballad, all right. It is amazing how much those songs light the effective memory within me, because this is very interesting. It's amazing how much music makes us go back in time, because when we regress in a right way, when we come back to the event right, we have the possibility to look to the past with today's eyes. The child suffered in the past. When I am able to of looking at my poverty, my restrictions, and laughing at all this, It is because somehow I can visit this time and discover its value. But how many times in my life, guys, I recalled some events I had and saw inside my house and suffered terribly from the memory. The memory tortured me, but as I was able to tell this to others, as I was able to tell this story, I remember, that there is a fact of my life that marked a lot. I had never told it to someone. I just took the courage to tell when I was a priest. I was doing a homily and I started talking about how important it is to live life as it is, without being afraid of being who we are. And I gave my mother an example, as I always do. When we lived in Pewee, it was a time of poverty for us. We left Aunt because my father had been unemployed for a long time. We were almost missing things. I remember that there in Pewee, just when we arrived, things were so difficult that my mother, knowing that there was very little money, she was one day looking for a way to buy a rice that was cheaper. I remember I went with her. I was a teenager, right? And then when we arrived, she didn't go to the supermarket because she didn't money to buy at the supermarket. We were what we called the rice machine. Have you seen that? Which is the place where the rice is bagged, takes off the shell and makes the bagging. And she asked like this, "What is the cheapest rice you have here?" And he started showing, right? A lot of rice. And then she saw a very small, right? Then she said, "Oh no, that's a good price. You can only give me 5 pounds of it." And then he said so. "And if it's like lady, you could give the pigs?" And then I saw my mother encourage like this, She looked at him well and said like this, "No, it's for us to eat." And I saw that he was disconcerted with her courage to be poor, right? Not to be afraid to assume she had no money to buy the best rice. But she wanted to buy what she could. And I found his gesture beautiful, because I saw that he was thrilled with her. I saw that he was touched by her honesty. Then he put the 5 pounds she had asked, and then when he delivered the package, he said, "Just a minute. Just a minute." Then he took another smaller package and caught in the place where he had the best rice and put it on 2 shells for her. Funny that I only had the courage to tell it about 20 years after living, because I remember, my people, that I cried a lot to remember this scene. I didn't cry with me, no. I think it's because I have a very close connection with her and I saw the pain closely in my mother many times. But what I know is that the moment I told that story inside the church, I felt so free. I started to have the courage to touch my wounds, my shame. This is so beautiful, right? Today I am far from the poverty I lived. I have a life of so many possibilities, and thank God I have been able to do for those that I love what no one can do for me. I don't care. Quite the contrary. I'm very happy, When I see that today, I have the possibility to help my brothers. But this is correcting inside us. This is a way you have to regress when you start to encourage yourself to tell your shame. And then you realize how much a shame can imprison us, how much we can miss the opportunity to be happy, right? If we have a hand on our side holding us, encouraging us, we go far. No one holds us? No. Just be well advised. Well advised. And we are overcoming. Maybe you learn to reconcile yourself with your story. We had no opportunity to study. I had not. Oh, yeah. It is impressive how much God made it happen inside from my heart, so many dreams that I didn't even dream. Now I dreamed of being a good child, being a good student as I could, being a good priest, being a good friend. I always dreamed, exercising my craft well. So beautiful, right? You find out that at some point in your life, you start reading your story from the good thing you are now, but never forgetting what it was until yesterday. We are not by chance. This is regressing in a right way. It is you never allowing you to enter some arrogance inside you because you got something in life, or because you have studied. How many times do we find ignorant, arrogant people because there is a doctorate title, or because he is a famous person, or because she had a recognition of the work? I get fascinated, with the ability Jesus had to make the person look at the past without condemnation. No, it's not to be condemned. Look at the story you have lived so that you are able to live well now. It is equal to confess. When we will confess, we go to tell the sins of the past. There is no way to be sinning at that time. I don't know that you are lying too much, but we go. The raw material is the past. And we tell, look, priest, I made a mistake, but the look we throw upon this past is not condemned, my people. It is reconciliation. Good confession is one that makes us look at the past to manage it in a new way. Looking at what we did wrong, but for us to be able to correct now. That's why it's liberating. Receiving confession, living the sacrament of confession is reconciling because of this. Because we play out what was not worth it. And we continue from now on, in a new way, is the possibility. The sacrament of reconciliation places us in the face of a new possibility. That's what Jesus did. The moment Jesus had the exarchon of the tree down, he was not doing that. Zacchaeus, I'm giving you the opportunity to get down from this time. This arrogance. It was arrogant to the point of thinking he didn't deserve to be there. The arrogance of sin is the worst than the other. When the person feels too bad, isn't it? I'm so bad that even God wants me. This is the worst. And he speaks, descends, my son, that his place is here by my side. It's so good for us to hear this, my people. When you think the other will send you away, he looks and speaks. No. It's by my side that I want you. One of the most beautiful things that Father Leo knew how to do was that when you arrived there in Brittany in the community he founded, which today Father Vicente fights so much difficulty maintaining. What we saw most, that was it. The happy Leo performed next to the miserables. People who didn't have much life perspective, misery. And he happy. And once he told me, he invited me. They remind me who I am. Even if I'm cute on the outside, even if my teeth are all tidy, even if my clothes are clean, even if I am not drugged. My boys, my children remember my indigence. And when taking care of them, I take care of myself too. All the time we need to live this experience. Look, I want to leave what happened now and I want to start a new life. This is what God proposes to us, my people. And that's what we need to want. Want too. We wanted together. The world gets much more strengthened, much more beautiful, much more pleasant when we are willing to make this experience. I leave what was not worth it, and I assume the good of the life that God prepares me and gives me now. I want that still. Because when we want together, life is much more beautiful. Because we realize that there are other people who are fighting for the same causes as us. Insecurity, fear, anxiety, and the intense conflict between reason and the deepest desire of my heart are feelings that have always been part of my life and caused me many damage in every field of my existence. Whether in the family field, in the professional, and the affective. And then I decided that I want to free from all this. Priest, I want to change. I can't stand so much. Live distressed, depressed, confused, and without strength. Everything I do in life usually goes wrong. I want to live a full life. I want to be happy. A simple and complicated life. Just what I want. I once heard, watching a lecture from the Lord, that born it hurts, and that is born again hurts even more. I am trying to be born again because I live a life of sin, and I confess that it really hurts. I want to deliver my life to God, and for that to have strength, because what the world offers is very attractive. But they are illusions and traps. I ask the Lord to help me, and the Lord leads me toward all that I give you. I consider it a good, honest, hardworking, intelligent, dear family and people. But I really need a change. I am willing to give my life to God, and from there, Vanderson, there from Pedralva, Minas Gerais. Thank you, Vanderson. Thanks for the testimony, which is also a sharing. While you talk about your struggles, you also talk about your hope. This is important. Vanderson, in life, we need to discover our place, right? I believe that all these anxieties that are proper, I don't know what your age is, but I feel you live a moment of many conflicts. We all go through this, right? Psychology calls this a normative crisis. Why? Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey at Path of Faith. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content like this.